Is I'm going to go over quick what you wrote me and what I know. I have a few clarifying questions. And then I will tell you a bit more about how I'm going to talk to Elliot and how that works, or how sometimes it doesn't work.
Yeah.
But 99% of the time it works, and it amazes me. I'm like amazed every day. Yeah, I don't work ahead, so I'm just going to be a few seconds ahead of you when we get Elliot in here. We're just going to go on this adventure together. So
okay.
Yeah. All right, great. So I'm just kind of focusing that area. And Elliot is at, looks like he is boarded at a horse facility.
Correct.
All right, and then I see that you list those people who work there. As we get going, you know, they might be part of the reason you're calling, maybe not. So if so, I will ask you for a little bit more details, because what I like to do is not only just hear what Elliot has to say, but I like to kind of create like a triangle of information to help me get, you know, the more details and everything. Okay, so let's see. We have Elliot Gelding, 7, living. You had him a little over 2 years. So now, in a moment, and I got the lovely picture here. Let me just get that in front of me. Okay, so I will be just looking at the picture one more time for like a second, because I'm not reading the picture. I'm just using the picture as a little springboard, because who knows when you took that picture? I mean, maybe you took it 7 years ago or something, right? So I just am like, oh, okay, it's a horse. That kind of looks like that, right? Well, I will be asking his spirit to come and connect with me, because animals can separate easily from their physical body. So he just needs to be comfortable, whatever he's doing. Eating, probably.
Yep.
And, yeah. So even if he's resting, or as long as he's just comfortable. And then he can send his spirit body to me. And what it looks like in my mind's eye is literally just usually like a platform. And then they just show up there and they start words, pictures, and feelings. I put that together and speak it to you. And then, yeah, you can ask questions, you can respond, you can laugh, you can cry. You can say, I don't want to talk about that anymore. Here's another question, or I don't get it, or oh my God, yes, 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 I want more of that. Things like that. So, yeah. Okay, so any other questions before I bring Elliot in?
I don't think so. I think we'll just kind of see what he wants to offer us. And I wrote down questions about different aspects of his life if he's open to answering and understanding and that sort of thing. So we'll just see where we go.
Okay, great. And, you know, I do plan on doing most of the talking for him, and that can be either like me listening and then I talk in this voice, me. Sometimes that can be slow and cumbersome. So sometimes I'll just have them like bring their vocal cords right next to mine, and I'll be speaking first person for him. And then there'll be plenty of time too where I'll check in with you and questions and all that. But we'll start with him. I can't wait to meet him. Okay, so I am going to be grounding and centering myself. And you too, Rachel, making sure that you're comfortable. You're in a place where you're not disturbed. And no multitasking. There's nothing else you have to do right now. Just allowing your heart and mind to be open. And yeah, like you said, wonder what's going to happen. Great. Okay, and I'm going to start yawning, which is good because I can feel him coming forward. Okay, yes, Elliot, please send your spirit body to me. We're going to have a chat. Okay, so here comes my yawn as he comes into the space. And I do have a smile Because I'm kind of like, what is he doing? Like already, like what, within 3 seconds? I mean, he's a character. I mean, I guess that's just what I would like to say. Like, he just doesn't seem boring to me at all.
Not at all.
Okay, I'm like, whoa! I mean, like, sparks are coming off of him as he's, like, coming into the space, but he can't normally. They just come into the space, they're like, hi, and they stand there, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to say up to 90% of the time, all dogs, cats, horses, right? Any animal I'm talking to. No, not Elliot. He comes in and he's like running over to the right, running over to the left, going back, going forward, leaping in the air. I'm like, hello, Elliot, over here. What are you doing? He's like, oh. And then he comes trotting like, whoa, beautiful. Literally, I have goosebumps as soon as I see him trotting over to me. And it's like, it's like little blaster, like, boom, trot. Like, he's like an Olympian trotter, bam, like within seconds. I'm like, what happened to the crazy horse? Now you're like an Olympian. Okay, whoa. And he comes right over, and he's like an inch from my face.
Oh, gosh.
Wow. Like, you're not going to run into me? He's like, no, I do have some. He's like, no. And that's how he sounds to me. No. And he's like, I do have manners, he's saying. Oh, my goodness. Okay, hi, Elliot. I'm an animal communicator. I'm here with your lady. Look over there, and I'm holding her energy. Yeah, Rachel. Oh, he's like, wow, look at her. He's like, look at her. Yeah, isn't that cool? Maybe you've never seen her from a spiritual perspective. He's like, I haven't. And he's like, wow, I have some comments to make about that. Okay.
Boy.
Yeah. Okay, well, Elliot, we're going to put that on hold if we run out of time or something, right? But okay. So good, Elliot. So we're going to just start. I'm sure Rachel has questions for you, but we're going to start with whatever you want to say. We're not going to talk just about Mom right now and her energy, but about your life at the stable. I don't know anything about you, and let's just kind of get going. I mean, we're doing pretty well already. You're loud. Now, just to kind of be a little clearer and send the information to me, and I'll speak it for you. Oh, he's like, all right. Like, all right. He sounds like a punk teenager. You know, this is why I always ask people how old their animal is, right? Because a long time ago, literally like 27 years ago, when I was like practicing to become a professional, I said, oh my God, your horse must be this age, right? And she goes, no, he's not that age. You can't talk to animals. And I was like, oh, right? Literally, I almost quit. Okay. So why I ask now is because they can have such different energy. Like, I would probably guessed he's like 3. You know, like a 3. Okay.
Boys always mature late anyways, too, mentally.
Right. Okay, you get what I'm talking about. Like, well, he might be, maybe he's 7 sometimes. Right. Okay. All right. He's thinking, and he has definitely has a number of questions. Okay. Yeah. So, number 1, he's saying, he said, it seems like where I'm living is called nice, right? Like, it's a nice stable. You know, like, I guess if anyone would show up here who knows anything about stables or horses, they would probably go, this is nice. And he said, is that a correct assessment?
Yes.
Yeah.
Very highly.
Oh, Elliot, yes, good. Elliot, why do you say that, Elliot? Well, it's clean. I mean, like, didn't you just sweep that? And now you're sweeping it again?
That's so funny.
He's like, they definitely have repetitive behavioral issues, he said.
Oh, they'll love to hear that.
Wow. Elliot, that is such an interesting way to view the world and look at that. I've actually never had another horse say that. Okay, well, yeah, I'm like, wow, there they go again. So, yeah, they're really into it, and like that whole group, he's like, Asia, I can see you have a whole bunch of names. They are like, hey, did you do this? Yeah, great, let's get that done. Okay, next thing, hey, you, over there, come and help me. You got it, boo, boo, boo. He's like, wow.
Yeah.
He's like, they're like a team. They are like
Very
a military.
much.
They're like a military team. I think that's the word, military, police. I mean, it's like, and they all like it. Like, it's not like it's a negative thing. Like, they all like it. They like each other. They work together really well. And that's why I'm like, ooh, this is high class. This is really high class. Okay, so good. So I'm happy to be here, he said. I like it. It's pretty. It's clean. It's nice. There's lots of food. And he shows me now this big, giant pile of hay in front of him. And he seems like he's flinging it all over the place, too. Like, I don't know. He just was like, wee, toss the hay around. So he likes that. But he said, okay, here's my question then. He said, when I go outside, he said two things. He said, one, it seems like I'm not outside as much as there is day, number one. Number two is I feel like there's more land that the stable owns that I'm not on. And I don't understand that. Oh, yeah, like, what? Why? Why?
Sure.
Something's wrong with the fence. So he said, I want an answer to that, he said. And he's now he's pretending if he had a hand. He's like putting it around over his ear, like looking at you like, I'm listening.
Sure. It will, I'm already impressed with what I'm hearing. So I don't feel like I'm divulging anything that is, because he clearly obviously doesn't understand it. This was one of my questions for him. He had sustained a suspensory injury in his hind leg. So he, since April, has been on very limited activity, stall rest, and he has a special turnout at the front of the property. And that's where we try to get him out of his stall in a controlled manner. And I have very much felt that I do not think he understands the injury, what happened, and the consequences of us trying to fix it.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that.
There are dry lots where the other horses currently are, and he did miss out on the big pastures this summer.
Oh, Elliot. Oh, my God, no wonder. He's like, I know. He's like, oh, my heart. Oh. Yeah, like, I'm so sad about that. Like, why is everybody being mean to me? That's how I feel. I think about it. Okay, so, Elliot, thank you for sharing that. And, we're going to explain now because no one is trying to be mean to you. I know it's sorry that this hurts your heart, and Rachel wants to explain to you, and I'm going to speak with her, what she just said and a little bit more about that. So, correct. You are not on the land that's available, and that is because you hurt your leg. And it's the type of injury, it's like a ligament. Is that the correct word?
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
All right. So Elliot is called ligament. So there's different parts of a body, my body, your body, like muscles and skin and bones and ligaments. And ligaments are like thick parts of the body that help hold things together. And they can take a long time to heal correctly. Like, versus if you have a cut, that can be better, really, like in a week, maybe 2 weeks at the most. But ligaments can take months. And part of that is you're supposed to be quieter, right? So not, I know when you came in, oh my goodness, it seems like you're not totally being quiet, even in your little space. Okay, like, okay, little jackrabbit energy happening there, you know, in a 10 by 20 space or something.
Right.
Like, okay, so I know, like, you have this energy kind of trapped inside of you because you're supposed to be running like horses do. And again, it's your leg, and it needs time to heal. And actually, the quieter you can be and the more patient, the faster it will heal, because when you do these like kind of wild, bouncy things, it can re-injure it again. Oh, he said, okay, I knew there was something about my leg. I knew there was a thing with my leg, but it seemed like it was a long time ago.
It has been a very long time. And if you're able to communicate to him, we tried to avoid surgery for the first 4 months. And that is why it's taking so long, because we did end up having no choice but to do the surgery. And basically it restarted that clock. And I apologize to him for not making a more aggressive decision up front.
Okay. So now I'm showing him, or as you're talking, he's showing me some pictures of, like, I don't know if this is the exact place, but it kind of reminds me, and they probably all kind of look alike, is like the university vet clinic, you know, and I'm showing him where I took my horse there a long time ago, and right, it's kind of like a horse hospital, and right, so he's saying me that, correct, and they had to like stitch it, but right, you already had 4 months, and then when they stitched it, did the surgery, then that clock, as she's saying, started over, and that, you're not kidding, it's been a long time.
Correct.
Oh, okay, yeah. And Elliot, I just want to show you something else that will help you understand and really be patient, is that if you look inside my head, at the top of my head, I have been dealing with some headache, pretty severe headache issues for a long time. And it's like no one was helping me. And then I found out I also have a ligament weakness in the very tippy top of my head. And it's not keeping the bones where they're supposed to be aligned. So, right, so I'm looking into getting my ligaments supported. So I just want to bring that up because it's not like you're the only one, and like no one is picking on you. And I also want to show you a picture of another horse that I worked with a few months ago, has a similar issue. Oh, I know, sweetheart, it's not just you. They love you. Rachel loves you. This is why she's spending the time and the money and the whole staff, because sometimes even maybe walking you from point A to point B, they might be nervous. Because, yeah, you can just get, you know, the kangaroo energy going, and boy, you still have a lot of power in you. But try again. The calmer you are, the more patient you are, the faster it heals. And they're doing all of this because they care and love you. And then the rest of your life, you're going to be fine. Oh, okay. That big sigh was just him, like his shoulders just went like, ugh.
Yeah.
Like, wow. He's like, I'm really glad we're talking, because I was like analyzing. I think that's kind of what got me into like this whole analyzing of everybody, because one, I had a lot of time to just analyze people, And two, I am like, what are they up to? Like, these like captives, like,
yeah, yep.
And that's why no one is slipping up. See, that's the other thing. That's why I compared them to like police or that like Army, Navy kind of thing, because those kind of people don't slip up, and neither does the barn staff. Like, I'm waiting for them to slip up, so they just open the door and off I go, right?
Yeah.
Or, you know, something, but they haven't slipped up. And that's why I thought this must be a pretty fancy place too, because it's not like a free for all.
Right.
Yeah. Oh my God. He's like, this is amazing to me. He's saying, I'm like, wow. Okay. This is good information. And because part of it, I was wondering, Elliot is saying, if I had to say to you, Rachel, we need to leave here because these people are captive of me. They are limiting my life. But now I thought, this is such a nice place. I don't think that's it. Like, I just couldn't quite put it together. I did. Yeah, you're so right. I wasn't completely making the connections, and now I am. And okay, so he said, my next question then is, how much longer do I have to go? And how do you know when it's healed?
Sure. So he is 3 months post-surgery right now. We just had the vet out last week, which I'm sure he remembers because he got to trot for a couple laps, which was, I think, overstimulating for him. It got a bit emotional for him. And the good news is that the vet said he looks really nice, but the biggest mistake we can make is progressing too quickly, getting back to activity. So in the next 30 days, we are increasing our walking, and we're going to do long lining and poles and cone weaving and mental practice. And then he will receive an ultrasound of the leg. So ultrasound is how they're tracking if it's healing or not. And he may be able to go back to his dry lot by his friends, the other horses, in 30 days if everything scans well, which his last scan did look good, and I think that's important for him to know too. Like, he made very good progress. So we just have to see next month where that takes us. It could still be at maximum, I would think, if there's no issues, probably up to another 4 months maximum before we're doing everything we were doing before.
Okay. All right. Okay. That's very helpful. And I'm like, when you're talking, he's like bouncing back pictures to me. And then I'm also bouncing him pictures like what an ultrasound machine looks like and, you know, all of that. And, he did say that he felt like the veterinarian who was out there is trying very hard.
Yes.
Like, they were like bending down, they were turning their head this way and that way, and oh my goodness, really paying attention to me. So I would say that they have some knowledge.
Yes, that is why we picked her. Yes.
Yeah, like, okay. And he said, I say this because he said, you know, I used to live someplace else before I lived with you. And he said, did you know that? He's asking you, Rachel?
Yes, I do know that he came from other places prior to me.
Okay, yes. And did you know any of those people? He said.
I know Tiffany, who only had him for a very short period of time. She's the one that took him off of the track. But I do not know his owners from before.
Okay. Well, let me tell you, he said, is that they would show up and then be drunk.
Okay, that's interesting. Are these I think I guess I don't know how many racing families he had. Is he thinking this is specifically Tiffany, or is he talking a long time ago?
No, before Tiffany,
Okay.
where they would feel like they were done working. I mean, it was a big building, and it was also pretty clean, but it was more like cement. Like, I don't know, there was more like cement blocks, I think it was. Mm-hmm. And this group of guys would feel like, okay, they're done, and bring out the beer. And they would be in a circle, ha, 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 right, laughing. So and then no more work got done. Like, forget it. There was no more work. So he said, I know what it looks like for people to not be engaging well. Mm-hmm. Because they can't stand that well, and they can't focus.
That's so funny. They can't stand good. That's a good description.
Yeah, so that's why I compare people now to those dudes. Then that's how I can tell that the vet was good, was a clear mind, and, you know, speaking well. But, I mean, these were nice fellows. But all of a sudden they just decided, okay, bring out the beer. That's it. We're done for the day. And, oh, my goodness. I don't know why they didn't go home, but okay, so that's how I know that. Okay, that's that. Okay, great. So he said, my next question is then, I do have a lot of talent, and he said some of it is a little raw, and like all of a sudden I just decide I'm going to do this instead of what you're asking me to do. Like, oh, this looks like a better idea, or this seems more fun. But I don't think that's usually a good idea. So he said, so what is our final goal for each other? Like, what is your plan that you envision for, like, us, like, arriving at the finish line? You know, like, what is that?
Yeah. I want him to be my forever horse if he can stop injuring himself. He didn't know too much. I would say he does have a lot of raw talent. He didn't know too much when I got him, and we spent a lot of time on the ground and learning new things. And even though I am not a professional, I was the one that introduced him to jumping and the hunters specifically, and you can tell him, I do not want to go fast. I do not like going fast. I know that was a very integral part of his past, was going fast, and I do not like going fast. And good Lord, please let him know I don't like going fast.
Okay.
And he's always been good, and I appreciate there are so many times he has taken care of me when he could have been explosive or scared, and I know he took care of me, and I acknowledge that. My goal would be that we get back to riding, and it's not a hard life, because he's had a performance life and a hard life, and I want to preserve his physical body and his mental space. So riding, 3 to 4 times per week, jumping just for fun once a week. We occasionally a local show maybe. He really seemed to love that when we did that last year. He was so good and so brave, and so he was the rock. He was my rock when I needed that for my anxiety after not showing for so long. And just like calm, relaxed, fun life together. Now, fun of his definition might be a little bit different than mine, but I just want him to be able to mature and relax and just be dependable and comfortable in his life. And that's, yeah, I guess that's kind of what I see for us for our future.
Mm-hmm. Okay, excellent. Well, he's really listening, and then I'm adding some pictures, and he really likes you. Like,
good, because sometimes I wonder.
He does. I'm not sure he quite knows how to say the word love yet. Sure. You know, like maybe some other horses that I feel, because I think he is. He's kind of just in, like, being a young soul right now. I'm not really sure if he is going to be that in 10 years or not, but right now he's definitely showing up as just like this young being. And it almost kind of feels to me that he has had other lifetimes, but it makes me feel, and he's not telling me at this point because no one has really asked him this question before, so he's kind of like, oh, I don't know. Mm-hmm. But maybe he was not a horse in his last life, you know, so he's kind of new as being a horse.
So it's all new for him, yeah.
Yeah. But whenever you're talking, he is smiling, and I can feel his heart warm. And when you said that he took care of you, he's like, I did, because I like her. He's like, I like her. I don't want her to go away. Yeah, so he really likes you, and now he wants to bring in what he was talking about, your energy and your body before, and now this makes more sense to me, and I don't feel bad saying it. Sure. But although I always say everything all the animals say, but sometimes I'm like, I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. But now that I know these tiny, light men were riding him before, he feels like sometimes you're bigger. He's like, wow, you're so much bigger than who used to ride me. Well, almost everyone is. But
yeah. I'm not a 4'10", 100-pound jockey. That is for sure.
Right.
Well within his 20% limit, but yes, definitely not a jockey.
Yeah. He's like, oh, right. She's bigger. That's how he kind of said it like that. So, right. So, Elliot, let's just address that quickly, is that there's almost no one except for a child who is as light and small as a jockey. So, yeah. So you can handle it. You're very strong. You have no problem carrying her. Is correct? He's like, yeah, actually. Okay, good. And now he's even got a yawn like, all right, yeah, I can do that. Yeah. Good. And again, thank you for taking care of her. And it's wonderful that you like her, and that as you mature and you work together more, it can grow into even deeper love and connection. But you're doing so good, because it is important to take care of your person, because the number one thing when you're riding with her is that she stays on top of you. Yeah. And that you're staying in your correct gait. And also, when a person is not there, wherever you are, it's really important to remember that there are walls, there are fences, there's holes, and that you keep, from now on, that you keep your body healthy and strong. Yeah, and I know you can get super bonkers, and really try to ground yourself and curb that, or if you're going to do it, really assess the space you're in, because like I'm sure you, Elliot, Rachel does not want you to get hurt anymore. And I want to show you a picture of, I used to have a Morgan mare, and she never had one injury the entire time I had her, and I think that was like 15 years. Oh, he's like, oh, right. And look, you can see her running. We went trail riding. We did all sorts of things, but she was just careful and aware. Ah, wow. Yeah, good. So think about that. Her name is Cajun. She's in spirit now, but I'm sure if you need a reminder, you could call on her and she would come and help you. Oh, he's like, that's so nice. He's like, that's so nice. crying. Oh, my,
Aw.
wow, Elliot, I didn't know that would have such an impact on you. He's like, I know, I feel like I don't have a friend.
Oh, that was one of my concerns does he feel lonely? Does he have any special connections that we should be feeding? Does he realize he has support? And, you know, whether or not he's expressed this or not, our current barn, and it's so nice and everyone's so lovely, but it is significantly smaller than where we were before, and there's not as much options and opportunities for friend making, and that is something that I have mixed feelings about for him.
Ah, all right. He's listening, and he said, I feel like I'm definitely aware that there are other horses here, and I'm glad that they're here. But he said most of them don't look at me.
Mhm.
Like they're like, oh, yeah, there's Elliot, and then they go back to eating. I'm like, oh.
Yeah. And I wondered for him, because our place, like the word I would use to describe it is like sanctuary. It's very peaceful. The horses some of the horses are older, more in a more mature place in their life, I think, where he doesn't quite match up to them there. And the one horse that does, they just play too hard, which results in falling and injuries, and the staff is very concerned about well-being, and so they won't allow that to happen, you know.
Right, and he is validating. He does show me a picture of that horse that he liked, and they were like two wild Mustangs. OMG. I'm like, I'm watching it, and I'm like, that would scare me. I would be like, stop. Yeah,
we even had a behavioralist there for that to try and make it work, but they just were having too much fun that it was dangerous.
Correct. It was right on that line of, are they really playing? Yeah. Okay. So, Elliot, I would agree that actually was not a good match. Oh, I know. Well, I'm showing him a picture. I know he can see it in my mind. It just popped up because I used to have a horse. You know, all my horses have died now, but, and I used to have a horse farm, and I was super into it for like 25 years. But I had a horse named Magic who looked like a plucked chicken when he would go out to play with the other horses because his manners were so bad. And he was out like on 10 acres with like 25 other geldings, all different ages. And he would just charge up to their face and say, let's play. And they would say, that's rude. And then they would bite him and he wouldn't move. He didn't care. He thought, yay, okay, bite me. This is fun. And I'm like, oh my God, literally he would have like, thank God he usually didn't bleed, but like his fur would be missing all over.
Yeah.
Okay, so Elliot, I know, too bad Magic is not here anymore because I could see that part for the two of you is very similar. So yeah, Elliot's like, I know, I need somebody. I don't know what we're gonna do. I mean, I don't know. What about a pony, donkey, goat? I don't know. Is there another option? For Elliot?
Not where we're at. They did only try turning him out with a group over the winter with him and that one horse, and he was so crazy that they needed to reassess for a different partner. And there are some other horses that might be candidates for turning out with him for company. They don't really have the accommodations nor do I have the financial accommodation for a pony or, a goat, something additional.
So, Elliot, it seems that maybe just more playtime with mom. I kind of felt like my horse Magic was like a border collie dog. I don't know if you've ever been around a border collie. Like, it literally takes like 4 people 20 hours a day to wear that dog out,
Yeah.
So I started doing clicker training with Magic. And
okay, we kind of do that. Yep, we do target.
Okay, yeah. And I just kept making harder and harder tricks. He knew like 25 things.
Okay.
And I just like, okay, come on, what else? Let's do something else. Let's play more games. Make it harder, make it more challenging. And that really did help him. I also, there's another thing that also helped Magic a lot with his body, because he had things when he was, I was going to say a puppy, when he was a foal, he had some major injuries. And I did this thing called connected riding with Peggy Cummings. Are you familiar with her?
I'm not.
Okay, it's great. And then she also worked with this other woman named Linda Tellington Jones, which is called T-Touch. So it's capital T, capital T.
Oh, sure, I know T-Touch, yeah.
Okay, so then Peggy Cummings kind of branched off of that and made it a little bit more like groundwork. And so it's kind of like groundwork and body work at the same time. And Magic just loved it. He loved it. He just blossomed. And I had like 18 trainers for this horse because he was so wild. Like some of the stuff Elliot is showing me, it's like, oh my God, that was so romantic.
Yeah.
So that would be another thing to look into. So Elliot, she's going to work on some stuff for you besides what you're already doing, because right now where you're at, not the best options. And also I was just scanning on Elliot's mind through some of the other horses, and we kind of practiced a picture where there's this, I think it's maybe 3 horses in this one area, and we put him in there, and the other horses are just standing there like, oh God, no. Like, they're almost like form a little circle with their butts together and mouths out so they can kind of like 3 of them, and he's like spinning around them. Oh, okay, no, that's not going to work. Okay, so Elliot, there really is not the best option for you there. So right now it's going to be just more games and play stuff and training with mom. So,
and we will, when he's able to, we didn't really get to explore much with the other horses, and we've had some people leave and some new people come. We haven't been able, and he's been away from the other horses, even from a sight perspective, when he does get to go out. So there might be some options. I think he has seen everyone, but I don't think he has met everyone, like truly. So I feel hopeful there are potential options for relationships for him and friendships for him. We haven't been able to really do anything with it yet.
Okay, great.
And I think that's why they don't really know him either.
Okay. All right, so Elliot, you heard that. She's going to look into that, because the other thing that I would do sometimes with my horse Magic, when he cut his leg or something, there was this one area that I could kind of borrow one of my friend's horses at the stable I was at, and there was like a really strong, it was a fence. And it was like a metal fence that was anchored into cement. It was like an elephant could have been, on that. And so it was like they could just play mouth games across that fence, and it was still pretty safe. So maybe there's like a wooden fence or something, Elliot, that they could work out something like that. So she's going to explore this. So please, again, be patient right now, Elliot. Okay. Oh, he said this is so helpful, but he said it's also so helpful that I can call him spirit horses. Yes, you can. You can call him Magic. He's black and white paint, and then Cajun is chestnut Morgan Mare. Yeah. I'm sure they would be happy to talk to you and visit with you. Oh, he's like, that is nice. Wow, good. Okay. Here's another question now. Unless, Rachel, Elliot, hold on just a second. So, Rachel, why don't you go ahead with any other questions or comments that you might have?
I just want to know a little more about his feelings in his body. Sometimes I get the impression, like, yeah, he obviously with the injury has been really high energy, and he never really was before because he had more turnout and we were doing more things, obviously. But the cribbing is a new vice that started, and it was post-injury, so I wasn't sure if that was a way to release dopamine because he could tell something was wrong with his leg before we could, if he was doing it out of stress. I mean, I'm happy to hear he likes his environment. I was worried that the move to this barn was the cause of that, like to trigger that. The other barn we were at did not have wood fencing. They had electric fencing, and the runs attached to the stalls were PVC. All the wood in the barn was metal enforced. So I never saw this with him prior to us moving. And if there's anything, because it's not good for his health. And I know he just gets the dopamine from that, and it makes his brain feel good and maybe makes his body feel good, but it's bad for him. And he doesn't wear a collar right now, but if it continues to be a long-term issue, I'll have to find a way with a collar to prevent the wind sucking aspect of it, because he can really hurt his stomach. And I just want to know, is there anything that I can do to help with that? A lot of it's environmental. Obviously, I can't give him more turnout because of the injury. So like environmentally, I'm kind of limited. I don't know that he understands the health implications of it.
Okay. All right, great. And this kind of leads into, because earlier I was going to bring up the option. He didn't show me the cribbing, but, and I kind of felt like that, like a punk teen or whatever I said, kind of like this, like, wow, like rock and roll, like a guitar, like, boing, right, like that, like that's kind of that energy I could feel from him. I was thinking about flower essences. And I used to use flower essences a lot, like 20 years ago. I even took training in it. I used it on my horses, my pets, my dogs, and myself. And I had like miraculous results from it. So, Elliot, are you listening? He's like, I am. Okay. He's like, you can be so sweet. Sweet baby. So, Elliot, this called cribbing, and that is bad. I'm just going to say it straight out. It's, no. And now it's like a chain smoker. Yeah, yes. And I'm going to say maybe you're a little bit stronger than a chain smoker. Maybe you're one of those beer drinkers. Yeah. So it's going to take some real thought, some real focus to shift off of that. And she's going to be, giving you more playtime, more activities. Part 1, she's going to look into these flower essences, help you calm, the body work, grounding work, help you connect with the earth, right? So she's going to help with it. But I just want to tell you, for Rachel, is that this cribbing and it's a sucking, it's a biting, it's very hard on your body. Remember, your new theme is you're going to stay safe, and you're going to stay strong, and you're going to stay healthy. And this biting, cribbing, sucking thing is absolutely not part of that. And the teeth, So I want to show you one of my clients, her horse, to a long time cribber. First of all, look at the wooden fence. It's disgusting and it's trashed. 2, look at this horse's teeth. I mean, this is even with dental work. Bad. Right? And this horse is off. Okay? So, no, you don't want to go there. So, I know that you might not be able to just stop, but I want you to just consider your awareness. I think that's definitely your first step, is just really being aware and making a choice. And that now you have a friend, true, right? You have Cajun and you have Magic. All right. He is so happy about that. Yeah.
I have a feeling he's going to need some reminders about that, because he has a short attention span sometimes, it seems. And so I think he's forgetting, oh, yeah, right.
Exactly. And so, Elliot, number one here thing for you and me is your self-talk. That you are self-reminding yourself about this whole conversation, about your new friends, about everything, and choosing to go, Mom loves me, everyone loves me, I'm going to be calm, I'm going to be patient. Yeah, and just enjoy the view, the sun, the wind, your food. You've got water, it's clean, right? Be appreciative of everything that you have. Self-talk. Remind yourself again and again and again. And it will get easier, but you need to keep remembering it a minimum of 21 days. Otherwise, you get to start over at number 1 again if you goof up. Yeah, it's scientifically proven to change any habit. You need to be shift for a minimum of 3 weeks before it eases up. Oh, wow. Wow. I know. I'm like, oh, did I make it 5 minutes? He's like, did I make it 5 minutes? I know it. You're so smart. You're so amazing. I really like you, Elliot, and this is really important. Right? You want to see Rachel smile, don't you? Because you really like her a lot, and you want to stay with her, and you work together as a team. Oh, wow. I know. Got to make it extra juicy to help you remember. Okay. All right. He has one other question, and he is talking about his feet. The hoof person, he's calling. Okay. And he said, so what is the plan with that? Because it seems like I've had different ones, and they've had different plans. So what's the story on that?
So I'm not sure his history with, other barns, other people. He came to me with front shoes on, not medically required, and he took them off in the first week that I had him. He himself took them off. And then we never put them back on because anatomically he doesn't really need them. You can tell him he has beautiful feet. The farrier that we had, the man at our other barn, he passed away.
Oh my gosh.
Unexpectedly. And that is how we have now Amanda, who he probably has realized brings out her baby sometimes. She just had a baby. And Amanda really likes him, and Amanda wishes that he would behave a little bit better sometimes. But I do think he had a probably more special feeling with our man farrier, but unfortunately he has passed.
Okay, so now he's yawning. I'm going to yawn. This is a yawn for Elliot, because he's like, oh, I missed him, and I just did it. I would just do it. I wasn't in trouble. I would go boom, boom, and we were done. And now with this new lady, I'm like, there's so much energy around her. And he said, I feel it. And she's like, Elliot! And I'm like, oh my God, here we go.
And my only message to him would be, she also likes to be quick and efficient. And if he wants to be the same way he was with our other farrier, it would be the same situation. Bing, bang, bong, in and out. Never more than 10 minutes.
Okay. So, Elliot, yes, I can feel the very, very different energy between your last person. And again, he's dead. He's not coming back. And it's very different energy with her. And part of it is she had a baby. And you're probably feeling the baby energy too. So, again, this is something that is important for you to learn. And this, I'm going to actually, Cajun, who you met, you like her, she really understands energy. Like, she is a master horse at energy and can help give you some points about noticing your new farrier. Right, there's the baby energy. Even if the baby's not there, of course, she's consumed with baby energy, which is a whole nother thing. And for you to ground yourself, and you don't have to feed into that and get wild. Because that is actually opposite, as you know, Elliot, for having a good trim. Yeah.
Right.
And you don't want to hurt anyone because you are very powerful. All right? You always want to keep the humans safe that you're around. Number one rule. Don't hurt the humans. Oh, right. Yeah. So ground yourself. Yes, there's a lot of frequency. And just go, wow, there's a lot of frequency. And just keep yourself centered and grounded. But that's what's going on with all, right, you don't need shoes. I know that was a different thing, so that's what's up. Okay, your feet are good. They just, like humans need their fingernails trimmed, right? Dogs need their nails trimmed. Horses need their hoofs trimmed. So everybody who's loved, which you are, and cared for, gets to get the trimming. Oh, all right. He's like, all right. Oh.
And you can tell him, since we're at the end of our session, you can tell him, we can schedule another, if he still has more questions. And I have more questions for him too, so I can schedule another 30 minutes or another hour for us in the future for us to touch base and do this again too for him.
Okay, he said, he said, I do have some other things, and he said this was really good. He said this was so helpful for me, and he said, maybe in 2 or 3 months or something, we could have another hour.
Sure.
And, go over some more stuff, and, okay, he's like, thank you. And, so Elliot, self-talk, right, because I cannot be whispering in your ear every minute, and you have a tendency to just be like, wee, right, and everything is gone. So you're 7, and so you can be a big boy now, and you've got the time to self-talk and really be impressive with everyone. And now you understand what's going on, but remind yourself about everything. You've got Cajun, you've got magic, right? Keeping your mouth and your jaw and your throat peaceful and off of everything except your grain, your hay, and your water. That's where your mouth belongs. Oh, right. Yeah, I know. Yeah, so, and he looks at you, and he just is smiling, and his heart is warm, and he's like, I feel more blessed than ever, he said, to have you.
Oh, good.
Aww.
We've had some rough times, and I'm glad to hear that. It gives me more hope for us. It's a little less hopeless feeling for sure for me.
Aww. All right. And with this yawn, off he leaves me. Off he goes.